Makadi mose muri yeZimbabwe kusangana zvekare pano pachivhitivhiti chenyu patinokunzera nyaya nemalatest updates anenge achiitika munyika yeZimbabwe. Hazvisinei muri yeZimbabwe tauya takabata nyaya hombe iri kubva kuna comrade Knox M Chivero. Comrade Knox Chivero vari kudayira panyaya iyo yakataurwa yakabuda marimwe zuro ichitaura nyaya dzekuti Wikiniwo ataura kuti ada kupledger mari inokwana kuita 3.6 million kuti inge ichienda kuma MPs nemasenators anokwana kuita 360 apo pachanga chigoverwa mari inokwana kuita 10,000 per each. Saka mamiriro zvakaita ndekudai so paitika nyaya iyoyo comrade Knox Chivero vakabva vauya padandemutande ravo ndokubva vano kota pacho pakataurwa nyaya iyoyo ndokubva vanyora mashoko andiroda kuti ndinge ndichikujekesera ndichikutaurirai pano ari kuti yet millions of Zimbabweans are crushed by poverty. Hospitals from the colonial era are collapsing. Public services are dead, whilst their lawmakers are quietly pocketing 10,000 bribes from a political connected fraudster like Chivero, and they call this for the people. This a direct assault on the constitution. These are not free gifts. They come due through inflated contracts, stolen resources, and backroom deals that sell off our minerals and our children's future. Now they want a term extension to squeeze even more of more out of Zimbabwe's wealth while the masses are rot. But I told you they are running like headless chicken because the mask is finally off. Ndofunga muri Zimbabwe mashoko makuru, mashoko iwarning hombe iri kupiwa zvigananda naComrade Knox Chivero. Zvisinei ndichakusiyai muri kumaComrades edu pano pachivhitivhiti.
The Constituency Development Fund, which has the legal oversight mechanisms, why is it not going through that? Why is it Mudenda who's going to be dispersing, this money? Why? Tikazviunganidza zvinhu zvese izvozvizvi, us as the people who are watching, it speaks, it touches on the aspect of public perception and the legitimacy of everything that is about, to be happening. Because to me, clearly, this is just, if it is in, because there's going to be voting in Parliament for the Constitution Amendment number 3 bill. So to me, this is vote buying. I'm not saying any vote buying is. Nigga bribery can go soft as so. Ka bribery can go soft. And they want to sway that constitutional, decision, making. Yema MPs are. The aspect of public trust is the constitutional value. So, any my actions are going to undermine the trust. It can lead to something being unconstitutional, even if it is not criminal. So, the law gurus, you have to look, into this, and it can be one of the development that can lead to, to a legal challenge. They're just creating a minefield of these legal, challenges. So is it legal? Even in the absence of any explicit law. You have seen kuti tikada kunyatsoisa pachikero chaipo chemweya mutsvene chokuweya chaicho. Munoziona kuti chinhu ichi chirikuitwa naWikiniwo chine problem. Politically, ethically, there are questions that gets to be asked. And constitutionally, there are questions that gets to be asked. And those are the questions that we are asking, because we are sitting here where it is not clearly stipulated kuti chinhu ichi chinofamba sei. We are sitting in a gray zone. The statute is not there to clearly tell us kuti is this action prohibited, but potentially there's a constitutional issue here, and it is deeply problematic, and we have to see and call it out for what it is. Vote buying, influence peddling, soft bribery, in an attempt to sway constitutional decision making. And that is wrong. That is the problematic. Pane dambudziko apa, pane problem apa. Just let the process go. Just let it flow. Those akaita paya voterwa munhu ngokuziva paya. Akati maziva nhingi ndakukupromisai zvakati, akati manhingi ndakukupromisai zvakati, akati manhingi ndakukupromisai zvakati. Isn't it, that guy was even forced, to accept, the thing is, because it goes against the ethics and whatever. Zvemutemo nhingweni, I mean, against zvemutemo nhingwenhabvu. Iyo yekuti I'm a private citizen, so I can do literally, what I want. It must be challenged iyoyo, because uri kutamba nebhodhi isikafanira kutambwa nayo. Uri kutamba nebhodhi isikafanira kutambwa nayo. Just like that, you come through and say, well, oh, ndakukupai mari ma-MPs. Anyway, handisi kusarudza. Kuda kuti vharo, yekuti hanzi handisi kusarudza. It's more of an ingirikini. It's more of wanting kuda kuti bata kumeso. But when you're talking about mukada kuti izvo zviri legal, munogona kuuya that defense. But legality is not only about my statutes. It is about constitutional principles. That is where this issue becomes a problem. That is where this issue is problematic. Because they expect, the Augusta House to be independent, to act independently, free from any undue influence and in the public interest. And for this guy to come through and try to do whatever it is that he is doing in a situation whereby we are expecting, even though it is a long shot, even though it is a huge ask, we're expecting, these MPs to exercise their judgment without fear, without favor, or without any financial inducement. And then this dude, he comes in and then he throws, 3.6 million. He's injecting 3.6 million into the pockets of legislators at a moment that they are about to be debating the constitutional amendment. Does this compromise the independence of parliament? You might say, no, it doesn't. In theory, it doesn't. But in practice, it does. The timing is raising, questions here. Legitimate ones. Concerns. We have to ask, these questions. The moment. It is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. It is the moment. That is very crucial here. The most, the most consequential decision that is about to be made by that parliament is being made by this. At a time where we're expecting integrity, transparency, and freedom from influence, they are being met by this. Zvinhu zvakaoma muZimbabwe. These guys, munoona vachicomplaina. And a donation of this magnitude being delivered at this moment. What does it do? What perception does it create? What reality is it creating? We need to answer. We need to ask, those questions. And we need answers to those questions. What happened to the conflict of interest principles? What does the parliamentary code of conduct say? A private donation coming to an MP on the eve of them debating a constitutional amendment. It demands, scrutiny. It demands us, to speak about it. And the way that it is being, the way that the money is going to be dished out, it raises procedural questions. Under what legal authority would Mudenda receive, that money and distribute, that money? Private funds. Because that is not his job. Mudenda was not elected for him to administer public funds, private donations to MPs. That is not his job. We already have the constitution, the constituency, development fund. It is there. It exists precisely to channel development resources through a regulated, auditable framework. And if this was a genuine development thing, why bypass, that statutory, mechanism? Why do that? A mechanism that exists designed for that purpose, it exists, it is there. It's been a minute since the money has been channeled through that, mechanism. Why not make it, make the money come through that mechanism? And for the president to endorse this and say, oh, the principal is endorsed, I've got his blessings. Yesterday, I told you about the Godfather mentality. Or I told you about the Godfather thing, that we have going on, in Zimbabwe. Even Pablo Escobar, he used to do, good things. But what was he doing? What was he doing? The pledge by Chivero, ladies and gentlemen, is sitting in a very, 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 very dangerous gray zone. Doma iri kugara. Doma iri imomo. It is not authorized, by law, or it is not illegal, or it is not. But the constitutional principles that we are talking about here are the ones, that matter. Talking about the independence of that August House, avoidance of undue influence, and talking about the conflict of interest rules, the principles that govern integrity of the amendment process, the principles, all these things, they become significant and they become concerning. And I'm hoping, those that are learned people in law are paying attention, to this. I hope, they're paying attention, to this. I hope, they do that. At this moment, because that is where it becomes, it becomes a serious, concern. Even though we know that, whatever it is, that they've given us, their intention anyway. But if they've given us, that intention, why this pledge though? What is this pledge, telling you and me? Besides, these issues, that I'm raising, is everything okay? Is everything where go ningi go kuti munhu anototizvo akupledge mari? When you see that happening, it means kuti all is not well ningi kuside go trying to just buy people so that people, uh, uh, um, get to decide. But you cannot sell your soul for $10,000. Come on now. You cannot sell your soul. $10,000 hadzimari dzinenge dzingovharwawo kuti varakashi kunziwo an MP weopposition for that matter. Come on guys. An MP obvanza takukupai nemukono we10,000. Vamwe vamwe vanenge vachipiwa magifts ekuma50,000, motikari dzekuma250,000. Iwe MP obvanza izo 10,000 to sell, to make a decision yakakura kudaro.